everyone. Hello. Welcome back to my channel. Always so happy to find you here. Welcome to any new subscribers. Happy New Year. So happy New Year's Eve going into the new year tomorrow. So for today, I'm wanting to do, there'll be two videos today and tomorrow. So end of the month today and end of the year today, and upload a new year beginning of the month tomorrow and the beginning of the year tomorrow. So anyway, I'm wanting to kiss 2024 goodbye, and I want to hug in 2025 with a sweet hello. And having said that, for this video, I really hope that however 2024 was for you, that you found yourself well and healthy in it, and that you were able to live the life that you desire. I'll put it that way. But for my channel, I typically do at the end of the year and the beginning of the year, as I am right now, I take a look of what were the main topics of this channel for 2024. And boy, it was very nuggeted. It was more than any, well, I've only had a channel 3 years. So it's like I have a truly organic channel. So I've only had it 3 years, but it was truly nuggeted with truth. I'll put it that way. And I'm very pleased with that, because if you can recall, one of the very first video uploads was the Cat Williams, where he had his conversation, and I referenced it many times throughout this year. He had a conversation with Shannon Sharp, and he verbalized that we're in an era of truth. We are in an ERA, and it's almost like an era and error, ERROR, because truth is not being asked to be permitted in anymore. I'll put it that way. It's not being delicate anymore. It's not asking for space, and it's not being carefulized anymore. It's not saying, I've done everything to present this to you. Would you please just see? I'm telling you, it's not, it's just presenting itself. So here are some examples on a public perspective and public review of some of that truth being forced out there in an undeniable way. And I have done videos on it this year. The shocking truth about Diddy and started with his abuse of Cassie, and then it grew into this whole Ciroc, where he had the Ciroc liquor lawsuit, and now he has landed himself in jail with the feds on his tail and not even allowing for a bail. And now recently someone, and that's a shocking truth, someone tagging to that with Jay-Z, another person that hasn't been made known yet. There was the behavior of people that presented a shocking, undeniable truth. Now, in the same line of Diddy, I'll just stay there. Behavior of people that's shocking. TD Jakes being at the Diddy party. Well, you're supposedly a man of God. Hanging out, shaking and shimmering. And what Diddy's parties are even known for, the most private parts of those parties, where, the baby oil shows up. Why would a man of God be there at all? So the behaviors of people were on display this year. Mean girl ways were made public, where you would hear and see in some of these influencers the tacky way that they engage with one another. It was nothing at all ladylike. The whole Dan Schneider quiet on the set of Nickelodeon, where he had been the mastermind of all these young kids growing up for 10, 15, 20 years, even some big names. Even now, I won't even mention them at this point. I did a video on that, in which he was fondling, touching, harassing, having sex with, controlling these kids, even to the point to where their parents couldn't seem to interact because their career was all of this, the behavior of the person, the undeniable bad treatment, shocking truths of a person. And where we have to almost use the word allegedly, where that makes it even more staining to the person's experience because now their truth is being balanced by prove your truth through the courts kind of thing. And I agree, everyone has and should have a sense of fair, well, I never use the word fair anymore, but should have an opportunity to state their position on a negative tart thrown their way. But when 5, 6, 7, 10, 11, 12 people are saying the same thing and have the same experience, the credibility of whatever you're going to say lessens. I'll put it that way. So we had all of that. We also had this sense of what I call karma, the kings of comedy karma. What happened with Steve Harvey and his wife, the karma for that relationship and how she was embracing a security guard there. So a trusted person. So the trusted truth of a person that was untrustworthy was on display this year. All of these things I'm exampling now is a lot that we saw this year unveiled this era of truth that we're in which Cat Williams almost prophetically made note of this year when he sat down with Shannon. All the way to the point here in America, the recent election, where despite who you voted for, even the shocking truth of the results of that election, it was such a race, I'll put it that way, as I don't even at this point want to rehearse that. But it was such a race that you wouldn't think that the results were, you would think they'd be closer, I'll say it that way. So you have that shocking truth. You had we had and witnessed another difficult truth of, and all of this to me is public figures, as I know, because who else would I refer to on this global? It has to be a public figure so that we know who we're talking about. The entire TJ Holmes and Amy Robach relationship. Now, who gives up both their careers? Now, neither of them have careers, and they're struggling to start a channel, and they're voicing their spouses. And what's so even difficult about that is their spouses go to each other. So now the spouses are dating one another. It's unfathomable. It's unfathomable. Now, I'm bringing all this up as a year review of my overall topics and uploads that all boil back to the name of my channel, Sheri Lewis Speaks Truth. The truth about ABCs, the accountability, behavior, and conduct of the person is always the vein. It's always the vein. It's the bloodline of the truth is the accountability, behavior, and the conduct. When you disrobe that, you will find a shocking, disturbing truth that at many times a person would deny if they know you, but don't know you as that person who would do that. As I gave the example of the B2K killer, and I did video on that. I think I've done 2 before because it's such a shocking story to me. This man, B2K, had been an upright citizen and a scout leader and on the board of regents of his church and was a park ranger And in patrolling the parks, he would pick up women and rape and then bind, torture, and kill them. Bind, torture, and kill them. That's where he got his name, BTK. He had done this for years. It had gotten easy, and he had begun to even send come catch me notes to the police, or he would even send letters to the local news that, hey, here I am, no one's caught me. He was very braggadocious about it. And finally, he had just kind of settled and stopped for a while until the 25th anniversary of that came around. And the news did a story and said, kind of like, where are they now? After 25 years, where are they now? Or where would these women have been now? And instead of him staying silent, she showed up. And through showing up, technology had developed. And he had the audacity to send an email, and he was traced back immediately, where they couldn't find him before, immediately by way of his IP address, and he was arrested. He admitted to doing it. The email address took them directly to him. He had trophies of all the women. He knew them by name. He knew what he did to each one for all these years. But when they told his daughter, she said, not my dad. My dad could never know. My dad was our camp leader. My dad served in our church. My dad is an upright citizen. My dad is a park ranger. No. And he was telling her himself, I did this. And she could, no. She could not accept it. The denial that her dad could ever do it was so deep that over years, even hearing him in his trial say that he did it because now they wanted to interview what the type of psychotic person would do that. He was, writing, helping them write literature on it, and she was still denying it. What finally got her to recognize is two things. She had children of her own, and she didn't want such a thing to happen to them. But she had to create two people of that one dad. The one she always knew and cherished, and nothing, he couldn't have never done that. And the one they thought that he did, that happens to be my dad, and had to separate the two out of it. This is how difficult that truth was for her to swallow. And she finally got around to it, but she continued to see two different people. Now, why am I bringing that up now? And I'm bringing it up with almost as much time as I gave it in its initial upload. I'm bringing it up now because a difficult, hard, piercing, undeniable, inconvenient, disruptive truth is often denied by the person who can't receive an image different than what it is. Now, as we have seen these behaviors, I'm left with this. I've given enough video uploads on the topic of karma. And even to call it that truth, people can't even do it. Well, what else is it? Karma was already preordained. Fate was already preordained. Destiny was already preordained. You just reached that point now. And so, while we may not be that person, and we may not, and we're all imperfect, but we may not be that person to do that thing. Somebody is. And guess what? They come across as normal. This is why Those names I named earlier, from TJ Holmes as the camera's on and he's going to do his Good Morning America, whatever show they were on, it was so long ago. When the camera's on, they know just what to do and they get ready. P. Diddy, when he's interviewed, just what to do. And the persona, so we're back to the image. The image goes back to who they're supposed to be, but are not. It's the image of TD Jakes as a pastor. And then there's TD Jakes hanging out at the P. Diddy parties. The image of Dan Schneider building up talent and presenting talent and shaping talent for Disney and other major companies for children, and on contrast, touching them inappropriately. It's the image of the person. It's the hidden, dark, secretive image. And that, in order to even be that, has to come from a hidden, dark soul that to only fix it is the person has to be stopped. The person has to be called out so deeply and arrested. And I'm not just talking prison, but prison, arrested in such a way that the person has to be stopped. And when they have become so powerful in their role, the only way to control the person of such great power is to destroy them. I know that sounds harsh. And what kind of Happy New Year? Happy New Year celebration am I? I'm saying that to say this. We are at the end of the year, and if this year, 2024, is anything, overall, we can see the behaviors of people. We can see how people have manipulated things. Even to some degree, I believe our voting system was manipulated. Now, the outcome is the outcome. I'm not even talking politically, but the manipulations that people go through to the degree to shield the truth that they don't want to be revealed or to protect the one that we haven't, is what I'm saying. So that was I would say, most common topic that I had this year. And that truth is appearing, karma is revealing, people are being seen for who they really are, and be grateful it ain't you. Okay? Be grateful it ain't you. And how is it that we can deal with such a person? So having said that, today is the end of the month, and it is the end of the year, and Happy New Year. And tune in tomorrow, because tomorrow I'm going to be picking up on the hugging and a hello for 2025 and what that will look like for me and hopefully you, and certainly this channel, because there are some things that we should share together, and I look forward to seeing you here. Whatever you do, if you drink, don't drive. If you drive, don't drink, but have a great time, celebrate it, and cheers to you. Have a good one. Good night.